This video might be one of the most important videos ever created on this channel because it teaches you the step-by-step process used by consultants at leading firms like McKinsey or BCG when creating their slide presentations. After watching this video, you will have a clear understanding what it takes to create slides meeting highest professional standards. Big thanks also to the sponsor of this video, ThinkCell, a tool that I used literally every single day in my past working in consulting. Step 1 of the slide creating process is the messaging. First, you need to get clarity on what you actually want to say with a slide. And this is a mistake that many people do, is that they already start working on a page, start arranging information before they are even clear on what exactly it is that they want to bring across. One key idea here is that, at least as a rule of thumb, your slides should not contain more than one key message. So it's one key message per slide that you want to communicate, with the exception of maybe, of course, overview pages, structure pages, and the likes. One of the key tools at your disposal when sharpening the messaging of a page is the so-called action title. We talked about action titles elsewhere on this channel in detail. It is a special way of writing the title that includes the key message in the title itself. And as a little example, I want to look at the following scenario. Let's imagine an analyst on your team, a junior colleague, prepared a briefing for you, and you need to transform this briefing into a slide in your slide presentation. How would you do that? Well, step 1 of the process, think of the key message of the slide that you want to push. And we have the briefing here in front of you. You can clearly see that there are different initiatives mentioned here. So 3 different initiatives that the analyst distinguishes. And one thing that directly jumps to our eyes is that there's always an EBIT potential involved for each of these initiatives. So EBIT means for earnings before interest and tax. So it's a key profit measure. So likely the profit that a company can achieve with these individual initiatives that are being presented here. This seems to be one of the key messages that you want to highlight. So stating, for instance, that the profit of all these measures together, the potential amounts to 61 million. So what about a title like this? Launching subscription-based pricing, expanding into the European market and offering corporate consulting services would entail an EBIT potential of 61 million. So now that we are clear on step 1 of the whole process, the messaging, we can get to step 2, which is the structure. So how do we structure, first of all, the overall presentation, and then second of all, and I want to focus on this element, the individual slide. Though briefly to talk about the presentation as well, here surely you want to understand how is the slide positioned within the overall slide deck. And here you can use agendas to structure the document. With ThinkCell you have some nice agenda tools available where you can create an agenda, set up an agenda that directly populates and keeps up to date throughout the whole document. So if you change an agenda item, you do not need to change it anymore on all other agenda pages in the document, but the agenda always keeps up to date across the presentation. And also, if you want to move sections of the agenda, if you indeed shuffle around the agenda, all the slides attached to that section move with the section, making it really easy to manage the overall structure of the document. So now let's also talk about the structure of individual slides. And here I witness it every day when working together with individuals and corporates, that people overthink this a lot. How should I arrange the information, right? What are the mental frameworks that I should use when putting together my slides? And one key takeaway that I learned in my time at consulting at McKinsey is that you should always structure your slides in table layouts. So don't come up with your own crazy variations of how to integrate and organize information, but always think about your slides as a collection of rows and tables. And if you do that, you will have many ways of arranging the information in an effective way. If you use ThinkCell, ThinkCell comes with a whole library of slide templates built in that you can leverage. And as you see, these templates very much rely on this basic recommendation of thinking about slide layouts as table layouts. So in addition to that, you can add your own slides and presentations to the ThinkCell library as well. And now in this example, given that here Abbott is such an important logic that we want to leverage, I will here search through some of my own slides for Abbott, right, and see how I communicated Abbott improvements, Abbott potentials, Abbott levers in the past. And as you can see right here, there is a slide that I can leverage for this indeed, that follows a structure likely very well suited for what I want to depict right here. What's important to highlight is that all the files remained stored and saved exactly at the location where they were saved in the first place, so they're not getting uploaded to any cloud or other remote server like that. As you can see, the slide directly adjusts to your presentation template. We now can do some minimal cleanup and of course also insert our new structure with our main recommendations that we want to talk about, and then potentially also adjust some other labels, and of course here the main numbers for the Abbott potential that in this example are added in the number bubbles here. And now we can move to step number 3 of the slide creation process, and this is the data and graphics step, where you can now ask yourself, am I visualizing all the information, especially of course all the number, all the data that I want to show in the best possible way. And in this example here, there were number circles used, which is a technique that sometimes can be handy, but in most cases it is much superior if you can think of a proper data visualization that you can leverage to really bring these numbers to life. And here in the past, I developed this chart selection guide that I'm sharing here with you today. With this chart selection guide, you can quickly get clarity on what the best data visualization type is for the data that you want to visualize. Then it draws on the idea the data visualizations in the end are comparisons. You're always comparing some numbers with some other numbers. And in this example, it is about the comparison of absolute figures, which is why in this specific example, you want to leverage the chart types for absolute item comparison. And here, for instance, a waterfall chart would be very well suited to be added to the page. And of course, you can nicely do that with ThinkCell as well. The great thing about ThinkCell is that the charts right out of the box appear on the page very close to how you want them to appear. So with very little visual clutter, very well suited to be directly integrated in such a table structure into a so-called integrated page layout. We can now of course clean up the chart a bit, of course use rather toned down neutral colors, maybe a highlight for the total figure. And of course, ThinkCell also allows you to link the chart to an Excel sheet. Depending on the chart type and use case, ThinkCell also makes it easy to add additional visual annotations to the data visualization. For instance, if you would have here a time series where you would want to highlight differences year on year or period on period. In this example, I'd suggest to keep it simple though. Big thanks to ThinkCell for sponsoring this video. ThinkCell has been a partner of Firm Learning for many years now, and it is a partner that is very close to my heart because I learned ThinkCell in my time in consulting, actually even before that, and I can only share that it is one of the industry standards that you need to master to succeed in your role in professional services. In consulting, I absolutely learned to love ThinkCell. It is a tool that I use on a very, very regular basis, almost every single day. ThinkCell helps to support you across all the key steps of the slide creation process that we are covering here today. You can use it to sharpen the messaging, help you with coming up with great effective layouts, and of course it also excels in creating powerful and effective data visualizations. And the great thing is that you can try ThinkCell for free. You can download it via the link in the video description. And for the Firm Learning community, I negotiated an extended trial of 45 days, which is longer than the regular trial that ThinkCell offers. So if you have not worked with ThinkCell before, I can only encourage you to download it today to learn the functionality. This is, by the way, also a great recommendation if you're about to join a role in professional services, but many other industry roles as well. Make sure to familiarize yourselves with the tools that you will need to use every day in these roles, and ThinkCell will very likely be one of them. Again, link to ThinkCell in the video description. Step 4 of the presentation creation process is to add all the supporting text that you want to add to the page. And in this example, of course, all the individual bullets that you want to add here to the slide. So I added all the bullets based on the analyst briefing, and there's one little hack that I want to share with you that you can leverage to significantly improve readability of the slide, and this is to work with selective bolding. So in each bullet, I'd selectively bold a few words that really capture the essence of the bullet, and this helps the reader to skim through a text in a quicker, more precise way, and usually makes a rather text-heavy slide more accessible, easier to digest for the reader. And in addition to that, if you have numbers that you want to include on the page, as it is the case right here, you can actually link the numbers to an Excel file as well to make sure the numbers in your text always remain up to date. And a typical example for that is some type of summary statistics that you add to the action title. So I do not know how often it happened to me in consulting that you add a number to the action title, but then later the analysis changed, the numbers updated, and people forgot to update the action title as well. If you are linking these numbers to the spreadsheets, this will of course never happen to you again anymore. And if you took any value out of this video so far, please destroy the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and also subscribe to stay up to date and see more slide writing and presentation creation content like this. If you have your own tips that you'd like to share, please add them to the comments. Trust all of us can only benefit from that. So let's now move to step 5 of the slide creation process, and this is polishing. At the very end, you of course do want to make sure that your slide is polished for it to meet highest professional standards. So you want to conduct quality checks, especially make sure that everything is well aligned. So to make life easy for you, in the past we prepared a firm learning slide checklist that you can use to go over the most important, most common mistakes that people make when creating their slides in terms of the final touch, the polishing. If you do not have access to it yet, feel free to download it, of course, for free. Also link in the video description. And ThinkCell can help you in polishing a page as well. They have a full quality section with different features to make that work. For instance, you can check if there's still any digital ink somewhere in the presentation. You can remove certain transitions or other types of animations that you do not want. You can remove any invisible or off-slide content that you do not want to appear anymore, and so on. And in addition to that, for the last step, you can of course also use ThinkCell to, for instance, save individual pages. So no need to now save the full presentation to then delete everything and then only share an individual page. And in addition to that, I trust every consultant will appreciate this. If you use the Send Slides functionality, you can, for instance, also always attach a PDF version of the PowerPoint file to your email. I trust consultants know that this is very important to keep leadership happy, who can only review the documents on an iPad, for instance, right? And then struggle with PowerPoint files. So this is the step-by-step process leveraged by all the big consulting firms. First, messaging. Second, structure. Third, data and graphics. Fourth, supporting text. Fifth, polishing. And if you now not only want to use the workflow of these big consulting firms, but actually also the tool, feel free to try out ThinkCell yourself with an extended free trial. Link to ThinkCell in the video description. Thanks to the ThinkCell team for supporting firm learning by sponsoring this video. Big thanks, of course, also to all the channel members. See you next week. All the best to you, and bye-bye.